We woofed in a place called the Tohara Center in Lake Taupo. It was kind of a community retreat hippie center. This is our room, and then right here is kind of a lounge for the staff. It was a bit of a melancholy week for many reasons, and the rain really intensified this vibe. The jobs on the retreat varied. There was gardening, housekeeping, and kitchen work. It's so cool. I worked mostly in the kitchen during our stay, which I honestly really enjoyed. We were cooking for a women's writing group who were staying at the center. These are some of the woofers. We hung out with them a lot when we weren't working. This guy, Miles had to work with a lot. He seemed like he lived many lives because he had so many crazy stories to tell. And to be honest, I don't know if he was telling the truth about them all. After work, Miles and I grabbed a beer in the town of Lake Taupo. I only got to work in the garden a handful of times, but when I was cooking in the kitchen, we used mostly ingredients from the garden, which was so fun and awesome to learn. There was a view of Mount Tohara and also downtown Lake Taupo from the retreat center. Hello! Miles and I walked down to the lake and it was very beautiful. I was very connected to this duck. We were just hanging with each other for a while, and then I noticed he had like a tag on his foot, so I knew he was domesticated. But yeah, he was my buddy for a little bit. There were tons of characters at Tohara, one of them being Phoenix, a guy that I worked with in the kitchen. He is a rapper and very spiritual. He wakes up at 4 a.m. to go sauna every morning. One of the rare days I worked outside, it started hailing and we had to hide under the bush. Miles and I spent our day off in Rotorua, which is notoriously stinky for all of its volcanic activity. The smell of sulfur just permeates the air, even in town. These black swans were all over the place in Rotorua and Lake Taupo. They were very comfy with humans and just trying to get a bite to eat. I've noticed that New Zealand playgrounds and play structures are so much cooler and intricate than the ones that I've seen in America. So of course Miles and I had to get in on it and see what it was like. Whoa! I'm going so much faster. My legs In addition to Kerosene Creek, we went to a hot and cold river, which is basically running water heated up by geothermal activity. In the hot and cold river, it was two intersecting creeks coming together, and one was hot and one was cold. And the closer you were to the hot one, it would get warmer, so you could kind of adjust your temperature depending. At the farmer's market, we got some fry bread and some seafood chowder, which were absolutely delicious. We went to Wai-O-Tapu Thermal Wonderland, which was probably the most touristy thing that Miles and I have done thus far. It reminded me so much of Yellowstone, even though I've never been there, so I guess what I imagine Yellowstone to be. So the different colors found throughout the park are a result of different mineral reactions. Brown and red is from iron oxide, purple is from manganese oxide, yellow is from sulfur, pink is from cinnabar, and white is from kaolin.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it usually looks like.
The extensiveness of New Zealand's geothermal activity has been harnessed into power, and the geothermal activity accounts for 15% of New Zealand's power grid.
Birds, the hot keeps their eggs warm so they can go away and not have to sit on them, but come home to a poached egg though, maybe.
Unlike a lot of features in the park, this pool is not super hot. It's kind of a lukewarm temperature, but its acidity is dangerous to humans. We set up camp for the night outside of Lake Taupo just before we went to work the next day. I was speed reading the book Normal People so I could return it to one of the woofers that I was borrowing it from. And honestly, it was such a good book. We were having a little ping pong tournament with the other woofers, and Miles absolutely slayed. This is Barry the Blackbird. He hangs out in the garden quite a bit and gets real close and eats the worms we turn up when we dig into the dirt. Farmer Miles. Here I was sifting through clover seeds in the dirt so they wouldn't regrow where we were trying to plant other plants. Rumi, a Japanese woofer, made the most delicious lunch.
Alright, you got everything? Check your tires?
Miles and I borrowed bikes from the retreat center we were staying at. They were a little bit rickety. The brakes didn't work quite that well, but I was just so happy to mountain bike for the first time in New Zealand. It was so beautiful in the area. But that got a little bit tainted because I flipped over the handlebars twice while biking. I was a little bit frustrated, but overall it was really fun. Miles and I did a sunrise hike with Rumi, Laura, and Will, other woofers. We had to get up at like 4:30 a.m. because the hike was over an hour up and then an hour back down. The views from the top of the mountain were beautiful, and Will decided to make pancakes on top of the mountain. They turned out to be a little mushy, but they were delicious because any pancake cooked at the top of a mountain is a delicious pancake. We ended up cutting our time at Tohara a little bit short. We only stayed for a week and a half, but we really appreciated the people that we met there. So that was the last of Lake Taupo and Rotorua. I hope y'all enjoyed. Bye!